What is up, YouTube? We're at it with another build for AMON. This is one I've been loving and waiting to put out for a little while, and we finally are able to. I just got time for it now. So let's just jump into it. We're going to go over the Blacksmith class mod. There's not too much gear we need to have for this. The only thing we absolutely 100% need is the Blacksmith class mod itself. Ideally, you'll get one with the critical hit damage buff to it, or anything that gives you bonus gun damage of any kind. This will do that. As far as the rest of the gear is concerned, I highly recommend the Super Soldier because you get one ammo per shot, and that pairs really, really well with the Hot Slugger. And you will never run out of shields. I'll tell you why here shortly. The final piece of recommended equipment is the Slippy Grenade. It doesn't matter, any variant will do. It helps with a skill I will go over here shortly. We are going to start in the red tree. Not really too complicated, standard red tree. Take points in Impetus, get the movement speed. Discombobulate helps with getting melee crits on your forged drones. Not super important, but good to have. Gut Punch is good because it adds a weakness to them, and that is considered a status effect, which synergizes really well with Bullet Storm. Bullet Storm gives me 6% gun damage per stack, up to 5 stacks, which is 30% gun damage. So if I hit them with weakness a bunch of times with my forged drones, perfect. Tritanium Knuckles, I don't take it for the melee damage, I take it for the skill damage. It does give me 16% skill damage. I can't max it out without wasting points somewhere, so I just only got 4 points. This will be plenty. I really needed just to get through this set of trees. The number one skill that is absolutely necessary, Forged in Steel. This makes me immune to all damage for a brief duration whenever I activate a Forge skill. The whole point of this build is to spam my Forge skill and keep Forged in Steel active, and I can do that with Fist of Stone and the Blacksmith class mod spawning those Forge drones for me. To keep our damage high, obviously we're taking Berserk, and there is only red. I don't need to tell you why those are in the build. They deal the most damage of almost any character in the game. Take this. It's very powerful. Catastrophe synergizes really well with Electrical Fire. I absolutely need Fist of Stone. Dragon's Breath is good, but it's not what we're going for here today. So we're taking Catastrophe. That gives me critical damage when I burn enemies with Onslaughter, so there's some synergy there. And when I burn them, I shock them as well, which plays into Bullet Storm, so I can get my stacks significantly faster. Those aren't the main portions of the build, but they're very good just to give me additional bullet damage, which is what our primary damage source is going to be. It's going to be from our guns, rather than any melee or forged drones. Into the green tree, we're taking Executioner to give us bonus critical hit damage. Since we're hitting them with melee damage, this will be doubled to 40%. I took Cast Iron. It's really solid because I get more forge skill cooldown rate. We're spamming it. This can only be useful. You can swap it out for Gathering Storm, but you will find yourself wanting this cooldown rate. We're only putting 1 point in Tempered Pyre. We only need 1 point because we're only needing it to hit enemies and not actually deal damage. And we need 1 point in it so we can get Twin Tempers, which gives us a second Forged Drone, giving us 4 total. We need this because it gives us an additional 10% gun damage with the Blacksmith class mod, and it also hits enemies and giving us additional Forge skill cooldown, which is extremely useful. Because we have 1 point in Twin Tempers, we're only going to take 4 points in Bellows, which every time I activate my Forge skill, I gain gun damage. And since we're spamming it, there's your synergy. We don't really care about points in any of the actual sword and hammer abilities. Again, we're just there to hit things. So let's just see it all together. All you got to do, action skill, throw your ordnance, and then throw this. You want the Slippy, because it does melee damage, and when you deal melee damage, you can weaken them, applying a status effect. It also reduces your forge skill cooldown. So when I throw this, it reduces my forge skill cooldown, and I can spam this to my heart's content. That is the whole point of this build, is to do this, and when you do this, You can spam your hot slugger like I am here, because now that I'm invincible, I can't take damage, so my shield never goes down, and I can pretty much very infrequently load this weapon. It's very important to hit criticals on this build, so make sure you're aiming well. But the whole point of the build is simply spam forward skill and hit dingers, and that is what we're doing here today. You can get lucky if you have the patience. You can hit the same enemy a bunch of times with the hot slugger, stack up your augment, and then you hit them with your forward skill and deal basically 10 times the damage. So whatever amount I have in prime stacks, I hit them with my forward skill, and it does that in the 100,000s. So you can potentially have this prime stack damage deal 1,000,000 damage if you can get this to cooperate with you. I'm only going to do 7 stacks, and I did almost 700,000 damage. Notice how I still have all of this going. This is why this build is pretty good. This is really only good for mobbing, not so good at bossing, but there's 100 other bossing builds that you can use that will get this job done. I hope you enjoyed what I had here to show you today. That is the build, and good luck on Kairos.